Look, I'm gonna just get straight into it because I was just challenging my mom and I want to save this thought to build upon it in the future, and just to put it out there so that way I can store it and then um, align it with information I build upon in the future to see if it resonates. So it is said that Santa, right? Santa is one ego form. Like, when a rapper makes their ego, like the real name would be, XXX Tentacion's real name is Jasea Onfroy. His ego would be XXX Tentacion. Um, so Satan, or his real name is Zeus, right? He goes by many different nicknames, and this is his, this is the energy he resides in. He's the trickster, right? He's deceptive. So it would make sense that one of the main forms he gets you to praise him or work under him would be without you even knowing, by praising a false presentation of a being that he isn't really, but it's still giving him the energy. And if you source it all together, you could still decode the bits of the energy he gives to his ego forms back to him. Because this is what I'm about to get into with Santa, right? Because Zeus, for those who are caught up with the teachings in the cosmic intelligence, the cosmic, I'm slurring up my words. The University of Cosmic Intelligence, right? Because I got my own channel called the Cosmic Database of Intelligence. Um, for those of you just tuned into waking up to the truth of the real soul behind the name Satan, the real soul behind that story, because that's a real story. The idea of one of our own brothers falling, a very powerful soul, and bringing many with him and turning it source. That's a very real story, except source is feminine, so it makes even more sense because he's the embodiment of ego masculine, the whole state of the world being so masculine dominant and oppressive against the female, and why that was the biggest thing pushed against his satanic religion of Christianity, which was a warped version of the real inspiration of the connection to the real God, because God existed before Christianity. That's just one corrupted presentation of a connection to source, and that's what even pulls you as a soul. Especially black people, we're the biggest Christians, the most diehard Christians, because it's the truths that they're using in that story mixed in with the lies that pull you to, because there is a real creator, there is divine love, there is a real being called Yeshua, a black man, a part of our species, who's the real being behind the white face of Jesus, who Jesus, that entity, is Jesus. So this is what I'm getting by Zeus tricks you to praise him through his creation, the human being species, the white man made in our image, the image of our species, who they come from the Caucasus Mountains, their origins on our planet. Their origins are beyond the Caucasus Mountains, but the human being, white man species, and all its variants, right? I feel a need to have to, label it all out every time I talk about the human being species and talk about the foundation setting stones, because we're starting to piece it all together and we've been so confused and scattered all around. And if I'm really believing this is truth and I'm really starting to tune into this, then I need to come with a real approach of building the foundation. And if you're doing math, then it's like you start with the 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, and then you build upon there. It's like you add upon your knowledge from what you can base, the base of your knowledge. It's like, so we're tapping into real truth, right? Starting from the fact that so-called black and Latino people are the real indigenous beings of this planet. The real name of our species would be Anunnaki gods on the cosmic level. Um, God is just the name of the consciousness we are manifested into a living, breathing experience to experience itself, right? Because we are energy before we come to the body, so we are consciousness itself. This is what makes us a god. We are the soul. And then these human being species are a lower physical being made in our image that can connect to the source of life in the same way everything else has. They were just made in an artificial way. And this is why ever since they've came out the petri dish, these human beings from their creator Zeus, they've been against nature. They acted in an unnatural way. They are like out of tune, and we're trying to tune them in. These white people. This is why they've done some of the most heinous acts that they've done on the planet. It's why they even move in the way they move. Not all of them are like that, but I'm getting down into the genetics of it, which a lot of us are starting to tap into the truth of. A lot of our species are starting to tap into the truth of, that we are not all one human being race. It's not racism. It's not even anything to do with the reality of what y'all think when it goes to just stating the difference between an orange and an apple. If I'm literally this thing and it's truth, then I'm getting into the literal fact of us being plant-based that comes from nature and the source of us, opposed to the source of them and them pushing all their ways of living onto us, and why it makes us sick when we're two different bases of beings but look the same, so we meet in the middle. But we're plant-based, they come from an artificial state where they can eat the animals. They're physical, low. They were smaller, physical 3D. They have to operate with material and tools and they're a lot lower energy. We are higher vibrating beings that were tuned into divine sciences, building grand civilizations, doing all types of divine spirit. Like we were, you get what I'm trying to say? We both have the same form, but we had this form way before they did, and they're this lower vibrating being that's more of like an animal higher. Like they operate on, you get what I'm saying? They were made in an artificial way by our own fallen brother. So when we piece this all together, right, and we understand that God is the name of a species. God is just the name of a species, right? And the God who created them is Zeus. And if he incarnated, he would look like a black man, because black is really just carbon. What makes black people black when they incarnate is because they are the soul. We are the soul. Black and Latino people, we are the soul. So when we incarnate, that's what makes us what we appear to be when we materialize. That's carbon. So our species on the astral level is soul. And Zeus is just a soul that fell within himself. And so this is what I'm getting at by, he goes by many different nicknames to just get you to praise him and give your energy to him and externalize your energy to him as the one dominant ego God. We are all connected to source, all with the potential to create, all with equal abundance, all within, but he wants to be the one dominant. Just picture ego reality, the dominance of the current state of the world modeled after the energy he operates in. Dominant ego control, masculine dominant ego control over the feminine, because the feminine is the source of creation, abundance, but the masculine, when the masculine separates from the feminine and turns against the feminine but wants to be the dominant, he then has to oppress and control the feminine, because the feminine is a natural source of true creation energy. So this is why the masculine, the toxic masculine, as much as those shit on the woman is really the main thing that he uses to big himself up and make himself feel like the little, like, you feel me, the ego. Like, look at Andrew Tate, for example. As much as the whole red pill agenda, that masculine toxic movement, it was all built upon, they needed women. They couldn't be any of that without women. There would have just been a bunch of dudes talking about dudes. So that even though they're oppressing women, talking about women need to be in the kitchen, doing all that, everything was built around the woman being there to begin with. So they have to oppress the woman and put the woman into a, you get what I'm trying to say? Position to where it can feed them. That's when the masculine tries to dominate, because the feminine is the real source. The feminine is the real source. And the feminine is just a word. Because there's only a difference when you have the masculine to compare the feminine to. But if everyone was just what they call feminine, we would just look at everyone as ourselves. Which is the real origins of the so-called carbonated species, a bunch of black women on the cosmic scale. But with that being said, Zeus, the real soul behind the many nicknames he goes by, Satan, Jesus, Yakub, Odin, because he reshapes himself throughout religions, but the real being behind all the different names he tries to create throughout history to try to get, because it's like people will start smartening up, the old shit doesn't work, so he has to come and remake a new thing. It used to be, the Norse mythology with Odin and shit. That same entity of Odin is the same entity in Christianity. And Zeus looks like all of them, but he isn't a white man. But the face, it's funny because the face they paint Zeus as, he looks just like Odin, a white man with a beard, who looks just like the Christian god, a white man with a beard. No, they literally look like, not even like just white people. No, they look like the same exact kind of white man. And then why is Santa? No, Santa literally, that's what I'm getting at. The same exact white man, but he's not even a white man. But his creation is the white man. So that's why he blends himself through the white man. The very species he made in our image to destroy us ever since they've been introduced to our planet. They rippled their way throughout nature and tore through our planet exactly as they were designed to. Throughout the low emotions they operate, because these are fallen gods that rode through their vessel and their possessed their consciousness their whole time being on this planet. This Caucasian man who erected all of his oppressive systems on this planet. He was made through our own brother who made him with the intent to destroy our species. This is exactly why we're as oppressed as we are in his systems. So on the soul level, your brother Zeus, because he is in a body like us, on the soul level, he's using, because we're creators on the soul level. He's working through all these things on the soul level, and he understands us very well. So he's having all his army, his spiritual army, work through everything here, and the systems he erected here to keep you held down. And play all the things that he knows that fuck with your soul. Because he's a very old soul himself, so he knows us all. Most of us, a lot of us, he understands from back in the day. You feel me? Because his real name is Zeus, not Satan. Zeus. It's very powerful when you call upon his real name, because you strip him of all his power, and then you summon the ancient memories, the memories in your soul, the memories of the 144,000, the real war that inspired that war they talk about that took place in the heavens. That war really took place here on planet Kai. When he tried to create these human beings first. Right here on this planet, and we kicked him. They said God banished Satan, Lucifer, because really Lucifer and Satan are two different. Lucifer is the prince of Satan's army. Lucifer was one of the most powerful angels. Angel is another title for our cosmic ancestors, who would appear black, if you want to call them that. But angels, the angelic realms, the angelic beings are just one arm. It's like an arm of our body, like, you know, like the Power Rangers, and they'll become the giant being. It's like arm to arm, and the different Power Rangers operate a different part. We have different branches of the cosmic family, but we're all Anunnaki gods. But some of us are the Titans, some of us are primordial forces, some of us are the Orishas, some of us there's many different like variants we can appear into, but we're all within the family of being Anunnaki gods, carbonated beings, supreme manifestations of source consciousness, the creator that everything emanates from, the source of energy, living energy. If everything is energy and I am living energy, everything around me is energy, made from energy, and I'm the thing that's alive. I'm the energy that's alive, so I'm the source of all energy. The thing that's working through this body, but the thing which just really infuses itself to bring this body to life. But I'm just the energy in this body. But my source is way beyond this body. That's why we are God, because we are energy. And if everything is energy, then it's easy to understand how everything is you. And if you're the thing that's alive in a room full of energy around you, then you're the living energy that everything around you has been created from. Even when it goes to these human beings made in our form, who, as I stand in this house, they made everything on this 3D physical low vibrational plane on a lower level. And on a soul plane, this is how our species made everything on a higher plane. These human beings made in our image who operate through the physical, they made everything just within this little lower realm. We operate on a soul level, on the metaphysical level, the so-called black and Latino man, the so-called black and Latino woman. Our species is metaphysical. We're soul before the body. This white man is just the body. They're just here. They're spirit, we're soul. So just the same way everything around me in this house that I'm standing in has been made by this physical being made in my image, is the same way on the soul plane my ancestors designed everything and set it into motion. The cosmic laws. We are the source of everything. We are the creator, literally. We're the creator we talk about, for again, we are the living being. As I stand here in this room full of energy, I am the source of the energy. Everything sprang from the mind that speaks to you through this body, that appears in many different ego forms. And my mind pulls from the source that we all pull from. I am that I am. This is why God didn't give itself. I was just about to say himself, could be been so programmed with it. But it's funny because in the same Christian Bible that most people don't even really read, when God was asked to, because they placed that white man thing upon him. But this is what I mean by Zeus is using technology, and he's using the truth to pull you to his many different religions, but the most popular one being Christianity, to worship him. But if you I'm so tongue tied. If you even read the Bible, you would see that in the Bible they're actually telling you the actual truth, but most people aren't going to read the Bible from their own eyes or really just read it, period. And when they do read it, they're reading it from an energy of a preset notion of how they should read it, of a put energy out in the world, of the Christian energy, of the Christian thought form doctrine of how you should read this and the lens you should read the Bible within. You feel me? But when you really read the Bible, and I myself do want to really thoroughly read the Bible, because I haven't done it myself in a long time. I might have read the Bible when I was a child, but I haven't read it like the actual King James or any actual real Bible in any time that I can think of consciously, up to date. But I don't even really need to, because I'm very advanced as a soul, and if you already understand the truth without having to go through any of that shit, you feel me? That shit would just, it doesn't even, I'm so above it energetically, I vibrate so past it, and I progress so much beyond it that it's like, you feel me? I can just do that if I feel like it, just to see through their lies and shit. And I still do want to read the Bible just so I can be better versed upon what I speak about. But I know a lot of the many different verses and things that exist within the Bible that they speak of. You feel me? You can just pull it up on Google. And one of the when God is asked upon the mountain, I think it's either by Moses or one of the prophets, right? When they're standing on the mountain, on one of God's holy mountains, because this is why they call the mountains holy mountains, by the way, because the mountains are the tree stumps, and mountains are always associated with a holy place. You always see the monks up in the mountains. People go up in the mountains to go on a spiritual hajj. Oh, he went 30 days in the mountains and came back there, because there's very powerful energy in the mountains. And they say that Zeus erected his own holy mountains. And it's funny because they say Zeus and the fallen gods used to sit upon Mount Olympus. And again, the mountains are really the real tree stumps, the real trees. Because the trees were ginormous, they were huge. This is where the story of the Lorax comes from. Because the land's polluted more than we can ever even realize. I mean, more than we realize, because we can realize it. I'm not going to say more than we can ever even realize. What I meant was, it's so polluted past what we even think, is what I'm trying to say. Because you'll look outside and see the little remnants of nature and think that's anywhere near the real nature that exists on this planet. The planet is in a polluted, toxic state right now. The planet is dead right now. Well, not anymore. It's waking up. It's coming back alive. But the planet has been in a state of damn near dead. The nature we see now is nowhere near the nature that existed upon this planet. So that's where the whole story of the Lorax come from, where the whole planet was polluted and all the real trees were cut down. This beautiful planet that then got destroyed by these people that then started industrializing it and building their whole society on it. Where do you think they got the idea from? You feel me? But so, in the Bible, right, when God was asked to give his identity, and look, I said his again, it's not his. When God was asked, the real God, because there's two different gods. There's the Lord, that's Zeus, because he wants to be your Lord. When people are saying him, they're still talking about God, but they're talking about him, Zeus, Satan. But the real Most High doesn't even have an identity in that sense, and it's feminine, it's source, but the universe. But so when the real Most High, when real source, when the real God was asked to give an identity, it said, I am that I am. And people don't even really contemplate or think about the significance of that phrase. That phrase within itself is a very powerful phrase that if you sit upon that phrase in meditation, it will begin to shatter everything you ever thought, and it will begin to awaken you to the truth of what you are. I am that I am. God didn't give itself an identity. Definitely not a white man in the sky. Even in their Christian Bible, they literally tell you. But then, this is what I mean by Zeus is tricky, because he knows a lot of people won't really read the Bible, and he knows you can just play with people's heads and just the way things work. So he'll put the real truth in the Bible for you to really read if you can actually use your own mind. But then make a whole image of the Christian God being a white man in the sky. But in that very Christian Bible, and a lot of the different variations, because who knows, they make many different versions, but God says, I am that I am. It doesn't give itself an identity. It doesn't give itself an ego consciousness. Him, or even her. It says, I am that I am. And you want to know why God says, I am that I am? Because God is the I am that you say before you then say anything you are in existence. The butterfly, if it could talk, it would say, I am the butterfly. If the tree could talk, the tree would say, I am tree. I am Groot. You know, in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a very... Yo, I just connected that together. They're playing in your face. That's why they have Groot saying, I am Groot the whole time. Because they understand the significance of I am. And he's a plant being, so he represents us. He's a walking plant. Groot, Guardians of the Galaxy. But they're playing in your face because they understand I am that I am. But this is why God says I am that I am, because God is energy, the source of energy. So God is every single living, breathing thing that does not turn against itself. Because the only things that are not of God are Zeus and all the fallen who then try to actively turn against the very thing they are. Turn against source. But every single living thing, if it could talk, it would and address itself. It would say I am, and then following its name. Just like I would say I am Ayante. You would say I am and then your name. And that's why God says I am that I am. Because it is the I am. It says I am the I am. No, hear me again. It's saying I am the I am. I'm not any actual embodiment of anything. I'm the I am before I embody anything. I'm the I am before you say Ayante. I am without an Ayante. That's God. That's literally what God is saying. I am the I am. I am the I am. No, the I am is what I am. Literally, the I am is what I am. I am that I am. Now with Zeus, what I was getting at, why I even turn on this camera was, I was getting at that Zeus goes by many different identities to trick you to worship him and give you your energy to him, which is why they even call it praying, because you're becoming spiritual prey to spiritual predators. They put the truth in the words. I'm merely saying the words they call it. Why does it add up so well if it isn't true? You say pray. You close your eyes. And you close your eyes in the palms of your hands if you're a black Latino. And you close yourself off spiritually. And then you give all your energy to a spiritual predator outside of you. That's why it's called praying. Because you're victimizing yourself and externalizing all your energy when really you're the source you're looking for. Connected to the source you're looking for. But Zeus, he will create many different identities. One of them being Santa. And Rashad Jamal put out a lecture just a few days ago, just recently, talking about the movie that came out a year ago for Christmas. It was called Not Santa. And the whole plot of that movie is Jack Black, right? Jack Black is playing Santa Claus. And there's a kid in that movie who, for Christmas, he like makes a letter to Santa Claus. Except when he's making the letter, in the letter, when he writes who it's addressed to, he misspells the name as Satan. But how the fuck does it act? Like, they're literally, why the fuck would they make a movie after the fact of it already being talked about on such a scale and being exposed to us that, like, it's literally, they're making a movie about what we literally said and they're playing in our faces. We've been talking about how Satan is Santa Claus. Just like how before there was a Zeus network, we were talking about Zeus. Like, it's beyond coincidence. It's beyond playing in your face. They're just confirming shit. It's not even confirmation. It's just them being cocky and egotistical as well. But it's more so Just crazy how overlooked it is when everything perfectly adds up, and they'll literally confirm to you that what you thought was true, that what you're catching on, they're like, yeah, y'all were right. Except we're so confident in how much we mind fucked y'all that even though you in the back of your mind, deep down in your soul, understand the truth and you understand what's really going on, most of you are so mindful that you'll hear a guy like Rashad Jamal years before the movie of Not Santa being made talking about this entity called Zeus, who then created the nickname of what you call Satan, who then really is also Santa. And we already understand way before Rashad Jamal ever talked about it. It was already, many people didn't celebrate Christmas because of this very fact, because they knew this. My mom told me as a kid there are people that just didn't celebrate Christmas, but I never was told why. Why didn't you ever tell me why? Most people might not even know. They think people just don't want to celebrate Christmas because people know that Christmas is a satanic ritual. Like they're woke. Like it's levels of being woke. It's deeper than you think. People don't want to participate in a massive satanic ritual going on worldwide that's continuing the agenda and feeding the systems in power that feed on us. Because everything is energy. So when you feed your energy to these satanic rituals called holidays, you're feeding your power to these entities that then become stronger and stay in power. Without attention, these entities would weaken. They showed you this in the movie American Gods. Again, peace to Rashad Jamal. One of his lectures talking about Easter, the fallen goddess Easter. There's an episode in the TV show American Gods about the fallen goddess Easter, who on the Easter holiday, they had Jesus, the white man Jesus, pop up at the Easter holiday with all these other gods, and everyone was celebrating the goddess Easter. And Odin and the other dude, whatever his name was, the black guy, the carbonated being who was playing the one god, I forgot his name, Killshock or whatever. I forgot the fucking, because I haven't watched the shit in a while, and I didn't even fully watch it. I just watched a few episodes. But Odin, was talking to the other guy and was talking about how Jesus at the party, he had many different like Jesus popped out, but there was like 100 different Jesuses at the party. And he was saying that's because everyone, when they picture Jesus, there's many different cultures. Like there's Arabians who practice a form of Christianity and all this different shit. So different people have a different, like everyone who pictures a certain variation of the idea of Jesus in their mind, that was created. And that was created through the power of belief. And these entities become real through our belief. And if many different beings are placed upon the one same idea of an entity, you're feeding that entity, right? But that whole episode was talking about the energy of attention and how attention is a real energy, a real currency that these entities feed upon. And this is why they even have things like holidays and why they're so significant, because you're feeding, for example, the entity of Satan behind Santa. And this is why they made the whole movie putting it right in our face. Not even, this is what I'm saying is so significant about it, because they're not even making it where it's, oh, let me try to maybe eat, like light sauce it, like hint at it. They're not even hinting at it. They're literally just straight up saying Satan is Santa. They made a whole movie about Satan being Santa. Like, this shit is weird. And this is a movie in 2024. And notice how all the movies after 2020 have all started to get aligned with and correspondent with the things that they call conspiracy theories. Like the things that are aligned with truth, though, because there are out there things that aren't truth. But this is why I stand with truth. This is why the name of my platform is the Eons of Truth, because my mission, one of my missions, apart from everything else that I came here to do, is just to find the actual truth. The actual truth of reality, the actual truth of everything, period. Truth is just truth. Like, whatever the truth is, that's what it is. So, if the color that you are wearing is red, or if the pencil that you're wearing, the pencil that you're holding is colored blue, right? Then the truth is that the pencil you're wearing, I'm fucking up my words. The truth is that the pencil you're holding, because I'm speaking, I'm all over the place, that's what it is. The pencil you're holding is the color blue. That's truth. Like, if you want to find out the actual truth, the truth is going to be whatever the truth actually is, and then you can tune into the actual truth of reality. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm trying to find whatever the actual truth is, and I believe actual truth really is I mean, the truth exists. Truth more than exists. And everything starts with the truth. Truth is in nature. Because truth is the real reality of everything we're doing. So when I go in nature and then I start eating what's in nature and I look at the real truth of all the chemicals in this food that exists in the cabinet, that's a, you get what I'm saying? The reality of being asleep, where they say when I was eating all this junk food, that's a reality of not knowing the truth of the actual literal truth of just what's literally the effects of this literal chemical that I can look on the back of this thing and then literally look at what it's going to do in my body. So it's literally just truth. And then I find the truth of the orange and the apple and the truth of nature and the truth of what exists in nature and the consciousness that made nature and the energy that exists in nature and how I feel the most alive when I'm in nature and how when I eat fruits and plants I'm starting to get more and more alive and I start to level up and evolve into this higher powered being that I'm supposed to be. The real biology of my body. Because everything I'm taking upon in this artificial system I exist in is a reality that's actually putting my body in a disease toxic state that isn't natural for my body, but my body is merely so intelligent that it's fighting off all the sicknesses that are caused by taking upon all these artificial things. So really all that's happening is our bodies are filtering all these unnatural things, and we're seeing the result of all these things, the toxins building up over time. All because we do it doesn't mean it's natural. You can smoke cigarettes your whole life, or you can never smoke them. But the natural state is to never smoke them. Many of the different things we do within this reality we take upon because we're just told to, and we're molded after what we see and what we're told from the society around us. This being an example of the eating of a dead body, such as meat. The eating of all these foods, of many of the different ways we live, wearing shoes on our feet, not being connected to the soil. Not understanding yourself just to be the actual being you are when you're out in nature, the actual living, breathing, divine, real life, super aware being that you are when you're out in nature and how it feels, especially when you're a Black or Latino sitting out in nature, when it's warm, not when it's cold, out in the sun, bare feet. Most of us never even got a taste of it. And the closest things we got to that was when we were a kid playing outside without our shoes off. But that's when we would feel the most alive, and you wonder why. Because real life, real energy is out there in the ether. Being in a house, just period, is artificial. It has to be constructed. It has to be made. You're supposed to be outside all the time in real ether, real life. You yourself are a higher powered, higher evolved nature being that comes from being in nature, that eats on the sun, that's designed after the same thing that designed the plants. You're a walking plant. You're plant-based. You're only titled Black and Latino in these cities and towns by this being made in your image, who is an animal hybrid being who can eat dead bodies, who can eat all this man-made fodder, which they call food, which is livestock for cattle. Because we're the biggest cash crop. My species are the biggest cattle on this planet. We've been turned into the biggest cattle, stuffing ourselves every day. In these pens called houses, in these zoos called their cities and towns. As they monitor us and watch us and gawk at us, and then just program our minds by what they put in the minds and the music as they like basically warp our ways of acting. They're warping we're only a result of everything they told us to act. But the idea of what you think a black guy is or a black woman is with the whole even just a hood archetype. It's funny because 200 years ago you wouldn't even be able to connect the reality of that same black man you think is a hood gangbanger now was literally the whole embodiment of what you think a Native American was. Because a Native American was no red-skinned white man. So we just been molded by everything we've been fed. We're a result of everything they're putting into us. So then we absorb it and then we carry it out. Most black people are only being like that because that's what they see most people acting like. Most black people that they see on TV, they see acting in that hood rat shit way. Or they grow around and they have us growing up in that environment. We're molded by the things we see. So it's kind of all just one giant experiment, not even kind of. They're just concocting one giant experiment on this planet and the indigenous beings of this planet because they're unnatural to this planet. So this planet is all nature. Everything they've created to exist on this planet, if you notice, down to this house I'm standing in, is an artificial environment that's within nature. Like they can't live in nature themselves, these human beings, but we lived in nature. They pulled us out of nature. But the actual planet and everything starts in nature. This is the biggest thing I'm trying to get at. Y'all put us out of nature and have us living in your ways, but we're way beyond this. We don't need to live like this. Y'all are a lower vibrating being, but this is all y'all know. Human beings, white people. But we come from actually being out in nature, way stronger beings, way more full of life. We eat what y'all call fruits and plants and all the natural things that exist on this planet. That was the only things to eat, so it makes more than sense. What the fuck do you think we were eating? But so the being that made y'all, it said Zeus. He goes by many different titles, and it just all kind of adds up. Like I'm literally just stating things that literally exist that all add up. Like it's not even like I'm just saying things. I'm literally just saying things that literally, like down to how I just talked about a movie that literally was created a year ago that I didn't even know until it was brought to my attention. Talking about something that was already talked about, but it's like they literally made a movie confirming it down to the T. They literally made a whole movie again having Satan be Santa Claus, and the whole movie, the plot of the movie is trying to steal a kid's soul. But so yeah, intention is intention, energy is energy. It's not all fear mongering. You can put your intention to, you feel me, everything, because holidays are a big thing where we all get together, and I got gifts this holiday as well. I just did what I did. It's like you put your energy into it. So if you're aware of it and you just move with an intention not to feed into those things, and you do your best while it is that we break away from these old systems, you feel me? I'm saying it's not the end of the world, you feel me? So if you do, get gifts on Christmas or some shit, I'm just saying we're being brought into more awareness of it, and we're just spreading the actual literal truth of where these things come from, what everything actually is, the reasons behind things, you feel me? But so, that entity, that fallen god, Zeus, he goes by many different titles, but do not mistake him for who he truly is, Zeus. Our fallen brother, who fallen. But so word, peace.